Hello and welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Sint.
I'm Axion.
That's Puppy. Hiyo.
And we are continuing our discussion of William Shakespeare's The Tragedy of King Lear while we play through Final Fantasy IX. So we have completed the in-game play, but we have more to deal with because the game is afoot. But while we finally get into the plot of Final Fantasy IX, it is time for us to actually get into the plot of King Lear. And as with everything to do with Shakespeare, they're a lot.
And there it goes.
So, as we mentioned, King Lear is actually based on a mythological King Lear of Britain. So, this is, once again, not exactly a unique thing for Shakespeare. A lot of Shakespeare's plays are not unique material, but adaptations of things that are already running around. Now, nothing necessarily wrong with that. I can think of a lot of things today that are derivations of fairy tales that are quite good. Like I've said, my favorite
Disney has
musical is
ever
Into
done.
the Woods.
Yep. And everything Disney has ever done.
Oh god, can you imagine the Disney adaptation of King Lear?
Well, for one, it would need to have the happy ending.
We'll get to that. But yeah, we open with, well, Lear intending to divide his power among his three daughters, gathers them together with their husbands, and in Cordelia's case, the two who are interested in becoming her husband, so she can pick between them, and tells them, you know what? I'm going to retire. I'm going to split my kingdom based on tell me how much you love me, which is, of course, an incredibly sound and logical way to go about this. Predictably, two of them just go full brown nose mode. I love you more than I can possibly say. Every ounce of my heart belongs to you, and just I worship the ground you walk on. And Lyra's like, yes, yes, tell me more. Cordelia, my favorite child, what say you? I love you as much as a daughter is supposed to love her father. You don't love me any more than that? Well, no, because what would be the point of finding a husband if I don't intend to love him? Why are my sisters married if they love you more than their husbands? That's not a very good answer. Get out of my sight. You get nothing. Hey, you guys still interested in marrying her? The Duke of Burgundy says, no, want that dowry. The King of France says, yes, I am still very interested in that because she's awesome. So, yeah, Cordelia is disowned, but gets to become the Queen of France, so that's a pretty good exchange, I think. Before she goes, however, she looks to her older siblings and begs her sisters Goneril and Regan to please be kind to our father and take care of him. And they're like, you don't get to tell us what to do, you're disowned. But during this, we also get to meet Kent and Gloucester, two lords. Gloucester introduces us to his younger son, Edmund, who is illegitimate. But unusually for a bastard, Edmund is loved and acknowledged, but because he has a legitimate older brother, is not going to inherit anything because woo medieval inheritance laws. That's kind of a big thing in this play between the brothers and the dowries. But Kent stands up for Cordelia to Lear, and Lear's like, I'm sorry, are you questioning me? My fragile ego cannot take this out of my sight. I don't want to see you in this country anymore.
Because King Lear has a bit of an ego problem.
Yeah, a little bit. So, Lear says, I'm giving up everything except I'm keeping 100 knights, and I'm going to take turns living with my 2 eldest daughters who've told me how much they love me through gritted teeth, with their fingers crossed, because they knew that they just had to flatter him to get stuff. I like how they have to specify you can't put emoticons in your name. Man, why can't we ever play as Beatrix? I would love to play as Beatrix. But, yeah. So, Cordelia's gone, but we shift over to Edmund. Edmund is a bastard. And I don't just mean he's illegitimate, I mean he's a schemy little jerk. He doesn't want to just be loved and acknowledged. He wants to have what Edgar gets. So yeah, Edmund and Edgar. Edgar is the legitimate one, Edmund is the illegitimate one. Do not mix them up, it will cause problems. But he decides the best way to do this is to make sure that my father does not want to give him anything, so I'm going to turn those two against each other. So he convinces Edgar that, someone's been talking smack about you to our father. I'll go mediate for you. Meanwhile, riling up their father, like, I found this letter that says he's planning to kill you, and doesn't it look like his handwriting? So Edgar gets banished and has no idea what he's done, because he hasn't done anything, but because he doesn't, have a reason that he's aware of to distrust his brother, trust him. So Edmund's plan is going very well. I forgot how often we jump around with who we're controlling.
Yeah, at least in the first bit.
Meanwhile, Lear is wearing out his welcome very quickly. Because here's a fun thing. Knights, 100 knights, small army, kind of really expensive to maintain. Goneril is not a fan of having to take care of them. And, well, Goneril starts ordering her servant Oswald, look, I'm not tell my father, I'm not speaking to him. I don't want you to give him special treatment, because this has to stop.
Which on its face seems like a completely reasonable, thing to say and do. And at the moment, completely logical reaction.
Because, as we put it, did my father strike my gentleman for chiding? I was fool. I am at him. By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he returns from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I am sick. So Lear is just completely oblivious to the strain he's putting on his family, the fact that his antics are deeply insulting, and he's generally just an ingrate.
And his underlings, his soldiers, are disrespectful, rowdy, and destructive. And he's got 100 of them.
Yep. So, Earl of Kent, who has been banished, returns disguised and is accepted as one of Lear's servants, so he can stay close to the king he is still loyal to. Goneril finally has enough, yells at Lear for how his knights are behaving, and says, I want you to get rid of half of them because 100 is too many. Lear is like, how dare you lecture me and criticize my awful behavior and tell me what to do? You awful, awful child. I can't stand this. I'm gonna go live with your sister. And she's like, bet. Which, is what she wanted to happen.
That said, she's not content to leave it at just that. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But Lear does make good on his promise. He packs up his soldiers and books it out of there and marches across the kingdom to go over to the other daughter's house.
Regan.
Yeah, and it's about to say, I know it starts with an R, but my name completely just blanked.
See, here's how you know Cordelia is the favorite child. Their names are Goneril, Regan, and Cordelia.
I've met plenty of people named Regan. It's a perfectly fine name.
I haven't met any Regans. I've met several Reagans.
I've met both.
But yeah, Regan isn't nearly as bad as Goneril, but yeah, just like, which of them has the prettiest name?
Yeah, Regan's fine, but Goneril,
we're going to mispronounce it. We're going to mispronounce it as something very unseemly at one point, and I can already feel it.
I think I'm more likely to just forget it.
Anyway, Lear sets out with his fool, with Kent, and what remains of his knights to go to Regan's, and the fool lectures him on, "You're an idiot," the entire time.
Which the fool does a lot of that, but we're going to kind of skim over most of it.
The fool is allowed to do that. That's his job. Can't tell how an oyster makes a shell. No, nor I neither, but I can tell why a snail has a house. Why? To put his head in, not to give it away to his daughters and leave his horns without a case. So yeah, Edmund, meanwhile, tricks Edgar into running away under pretense of something, which gives him the opportunity to lie about receiving an injury from Edgar, which he achieves by stabbing himself to make it look like, "Oh, I confronted Edgar about his evil plans to blatantly murder you, and he drew a sword and stabbed me and ran away. Ow, it hurts so much. Oh, good, you're disowning him? Cool, thanks." Meanwhile, Regan arrives with her husband at Gloucester's castle, get to hear the stories about Edgar from the reliable source Edmund, and take Edmund on into their service. So Edmund has really risen in the world, and all it took was a little bit of backstabbing and
lying.
Yeah.
Forgery.
You know, little brother stuff.
Meanwhile, in his guise as, I believe he's going by the name Caius. Kent has been sent ahead of King Lear to basically, one, inform Regan that he's on his way, and two, to let her know how badly he was treated by Goneril. Unfortunately, Goneril kind of foresaw this and sent Oswald ahead as well, and he and Kent what is his nickname in this? His disguise name, Kyrus?
I am checking. Yeah, Caius.
Caius. Yeah, Kent/Caius and Oswald arrive at the same time, recognize each other from when they got into a scrap at Goneril's place, and get into a fight again. When Regan's people intervene, she decides, or is it she decides, or one of the noblemen?
Let's be fair, Kent does start this one, because here's how this scene opens. "Good dawning to thee, friend, art of this house. Aye? Where may we set our horses? In the mire?" Kent just says, "Yeah, go put your horses out in the swamp." "Why didst thou use me, fellow, I know thee?" says Kent. "What dost thou know me for?" Kent says, "A knave, a rascal, an eater of broken meats, a base, proud, shallow beggar, resuited, 100-pound, filthy, worsted-stocking knave, lily-livered, action-taking whoreson, glass-gazing, super-serviceable, finical rogue, one-trunk inheriting slave, one that wouldst be a bawd in way of a good service, and art nothing but the composition of a knave, beggar, coward, pander, and the son and heir of a mongrel bitch, one whom I will beat into clamorous whining if thou deniest the least syllable of thy addition." So, yeah, Kent absolutely started this fight. And gets in the stops for it.
Yeah. I'm not saying you didn't start it, but
And then he pulls a blade on Oswald. Oswald's like, oh, look, just go away. I don't want to fight. Draw, you rascal. You come with letters against the king and take Vanity the puppet's part against the royalty of her father. Draw, you rogue, or I'll throw Carbonaro your shanks. Draw, you rascal, come your ways. Help? So when everybody else comes out, Kent is beating the snot out of Oswald. So yeah, it's not so much Regan and company decide Kent is the bad guy here.
he
He's
does
kind of-
everything in his power to look like the bad guy.
Yeah, he's got it caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so to speak.
Oh, Steiner.
So yeah, Kent ends up in the stocks. Oswald delivers the letter that says, hey, Lear's on his way and he's being a little brat. You know what to do. Yep. So, since Edgar is now on the run because he's been branded a traitor, he disguises himself as a beggar, pretends to be insane, because, this way he doesn't get killed on sight. So he names himself Tom of Bedlam. Which thankfully will make it easier to keep track of Edgar and Edmund because we're now calling one of them Tom. It's a shame we're not playing 6 right now, because then we would have a perfectly appropriate nickname for Edgar. Jared.
On the other hand, this is a fitting pick for its own reasons.
So, Lear arrives at Gloucester's, discovers that his messenger is in the stocks, is even more upset that Regan straight up refuses to see him. Goneril arrives, Lear starts yelling at her, and then Regan, who finally comes out, who both say, you don't need to have all of your attendants. Both the girls are now in full agreement of, look, you can stay with us if you get rid of all of these knights, who are, horribly behaved and very expensive to take care of. Lear basically starts doing his best Eric Cartman impression, respect my authority, and then just storms out into a thunderstorm, because I don't have to take it from you. So, yeah, Regan, Goneril, and the Duke of Cornwall are just like, yeah, we're just gonna go close the door, he's not allowed back in. So, yeah, no one has actually kicked Lear out. He did it to himself. Kent finally gets out of the stocks and starts looking for Lear. Is informed that he took his fool and left. They're just out in the storm by themselves. He also gets to let us know that there's a French army on the way to England. So we're about to be at war. That's fun.
Yep, there's an army on the way, and King Lear is like, no, I'm taking my ball and going home. Oh, wait, I can't.
Yeah, because you gave it away. This year to save me from tears.
Oh, no, it's...
Whamageddon!
It's February! Or it'll be February by the time this video goes up. It is way too early for... Or way too late for Whamageddon.
So Lear is wandering out in the elements, screaming at the storm. The fool's just like, come on, can we go back? You need to go back. You're an old man. You're gonna die. And Lear's like, no, I'm staying out here. You can't make me go back. And then Kent enters, finds them, leads them to like a lean-to so they can get out of the direct rain. So at least that. Gloucester informs Edmund that he's going to go and help Lear because he doesn't feel right about this. He also tells him a letter he has received about the French invasion. So Gloucester leaves, and Edmund's like, you know what?
How did
I'm
he
the
even
heir.
do that?
Huh?
How did he even do that?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, you were saying.
See, this is why Pluto got fired from being a planet.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It's
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah. So Edmund's like, I'm the heir right now, but even better, already being the Duke. So, yeah, I'm going to go tell Cornwall that my father is scheming against him.
Dun dun dun.
This courtesy forbid thee shall the Duke instantly know, and of that letter too. This seems a fair deserving, and must draw me that which my father loses, no less than all. The younger rises when the old doth fall. So yeah, nothing's good enough for you, Edmund, is it?
I mean, he got away with it once. Why not try again and roll for even better results?
Yep. Yep. Lear and company enter the hovel where they find Crazy Edgar. Gloucester finds them and takes them to a house. Edmund, meanwhile, tells Cornwall that Gloucester's helping Lear and about the whole France thing. Cornwall's like, yeah, you know what? You get his job now. You're the Earl of Gloucester. Sorry, I keep mixing up Earl and Duke. So that's fun. We have put the most dangerous person in a position of power. That doesn't match reality ever at all.
Ruh-roh.
Lear has another episode, starts imagining that he's putting Goneril and Regan on trial. Gloucester comes in and is like, yeah, people are planning to kill you. You need to get to Dover because that's where the French army is landing, and that will be good for you because you know who's the Queen of France right now? Your favorite. Cornwall then captures Gloucester, brands him a traitor, and decides that the punishment for being a traitor is blindness. Puts out Gloucester's eyes. Cornwall, however, is mortally wounded when one of his servants is like, no. I have served you my entire life. This is too far. You're dying now. Regan stabs the servant in the back, but so we can't stop Gloucester from being blinded, but we try.
To be fair, that is a little too much.
Yeah.
At that point, if you're going to do something like that, just kill the guy.
But the cruelty is the point. So, Gloucester has been blinded and is now just wandering, unsure what to do, but runs into the disguised Edgar, who begins to take care of him. Not revealing himself, of course. So, Goneril and Edmund arrive back at Goneril's castle. Edmund is sent back to Cornwall. Goneril's husband lays into her how she's treated Lear, and then a messenger arrived reporting that Gloucester has been blinded and that Regan's husband has been killed by his servant. Like, Albany is actually one of the more decent people in the play, him and Edgar, really, and Cordelia. To the point that Goneril's just like, I marvel our mild husband not met us on the way. Like, yeah, he's mild. He doesn't really stand up to her much, but when he does, he actually does make something of a difference. So, Kent discusses with somebody that Cordelia does care deeply for her father, which is why she's back here in the middle of a war. So, Lear has been brought to Dover where he was meant to meet with her, but he's slipping in and out of sanity, and he has now come to realize exactly how big of a mistake he made, and he's too ashamed to see Cordelia. So, I mean, hey, he can be taught. Cordelia starts looking for her father so she can go, reconcile with him. Regan starts questioning Oswald about Goneril and Edmund, and since she is now conveniently widowed, is interested in Edmund. Can you talk Goneril out of pursuing him? Because, she is married and everything, and also I want this. So, because Gloucester is in a really, really bad place right now, Edgar kind of helps try to work him through his funk. pretends to aid him in falling off of the cliff because he clearly wants to end it. Gloucester faints. Edgar tells him that the gods intervene to save his life. They run into Lear, who has completely lost it at this point, and they talk for a bit. Lear runs away when Cordelia's search party comes upon them. But Oswald shows up, tries to kill Gloucester. Edgar stabs him and finds on his body a letter plotting the Duke of Albany's death because, hey, if we can get rid of my husband, I can marry Edmund. I don't really see what everybody sees in Edmund, but you know. Lear finally wakes up in a doctor's care and is reunited with Cordelia. So they reconcile. So yay, things are going well. Now if we just ended the play here, we'd be fine, but we have another act to go. Albany sends his troops along with Regan's, which are led by Edmund, to oppose the French invasion because, you know, we're at war. Edgar is still in disguise, tells Albany about the plot against him, and promises to produce a champion to maintain the authenticity of the letter in a trial by combat. So Edmund muses on, I wonder which of these sisters I should marry, and, you know, I'm gonna ignore what Albany says about sparing Lear and Cordelia. I'm just gonna get rid of them if our army wins.
How convenient.
Yep. Their army wins, which means Lear and Cordelia are now prisoners of war. So, Albany confronts Edmund and Goneril with the letter delivered by Edgar. Edgar, now appearing as himself, challenges Edmund to a duel.
If I remember correctly, he shows up first disguised, like, completely in armor, and Edmund doesn't recognize him.
Yeah, I'm saying he's not disguised as a peasant or
Yeah,
as Tom of Bedlam.
he's not Tom of Bedlam anymore, yeah.
Yeah, he shows up in armor and calls him out. Who are you to say these things? I'm your brother and I'm gonna kill you. Mortally wounds Edmund, reveals his identity, explains that their father died because going from the absolute bottom to realizing he has his son back and can speak to him again was too much for his heart to take. Regan has been poisoned by Goneril. Goneril commits suicide. Kent looks for Lear. Edmund confesses that he has, I ordered their deaths. I've sent a messenger to go and pardon them. Messenger doesn't get there in time to stop Cordelia from being hanged.
Or
Lear,
the fool, but nobody cares about him at this point.
The thing is, we don't know what happened to the fool. Like, Lear says, my fool is hanged, but we haven't seen the fool for quite some time. We can talk about that later, but Lear enters with Cordelia's body and can't take it and dies of despair, leaving Albany and Edgar to put everything back together. The end. So yeah, it's a tragedy. It is one of Shakespeare's most succinctly structured tragedies in that every single thing about this is every time Lear has something happen to him, it's the direct result of something he did. All of this stems from the fact that he decided to do his will in the stupidest way possible, flying in the face of what he knew about his children, and every ounce of suffering comes as the direct result of that. The Edmund and Edgar side of the story is a different thing, but everything that happens to Lear is Lear's fault. And he knows it. He realizes it by the end, but by that point, it's too late to fix it. He has to live with the consequences of his actions, up to and including the death of his favorite child. So...
nice job breaking it, King.
Yeah, basically. But honestly, with the society we have today, the most unrealistic thing about this is the fact that we have an old man willingly retiring before he's forced out. But that is the plot of King Lear.
And it sounds like Sophie has had a bit enough of King Lear and Final Fantasy for today. So,
Well, as soon as we find a save point,
I think there will be one after this cutscene, but we'll watch this cutscene and then we'll call this one an episode.
I think Bronny's been happier. She looks pretty blue.
Why do you do this to me?
Why not?
Careful there.
But yeah, as we see this cutscene play out, I'm going to go ahead and leave us with Edgar's parting words. The weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say. The oldest hath borne most, we that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long. I guess somebody's speaking what they feel.
I was about to say, that could not have been worse timed.
I mean, it could have been worse. We could have been talking about, like, the sound of silence or something.
I actually forgot this fight happened. Silly puppy. You have opinions, don't you? Took you long enough, Steiner. Alright. That is one hardy airship, by the way.
As opposed to the airship Pinto that explodes on contact. Meanwhile, that building was not as sturdy.
I mean, it wasn't the building that exploded. But yeah, we should be having a stopping point shortly after this cutscene, so as soon as this runs its course, we'll go ahead and call this an episode.
Alright, until next time.
See y'all then.